Once upon a time, 200 years ago, a tragedy occurred that shook the hearts of the world. A great experiment, a great failure. How did a curious, brilliant scientist create something so monstrous? Or rather, how did society turn him into a monster? The power and dangers of knowledge, nature versus nurture, voicelessness, a controversial story of what led the creature to commit murders.
Victor's life began as any other child would. In fact, he was extremely fortunate. He was raised in Geneva, loved his adopted sister, Elizabeth Lavenza, and had a great relationship with his best friend, Henry Clerval, and had a thirst for knowledge.
But did you always know that you were going to marry Victor?
It was always my childhood dream to marry Victor. I can't imagine him not being in my life since I grew up with him. I was so happy Caroline invited me to be part of the family.
You said you can't imagine your life without Victor. How did you feel when he was so involved in his studies?
Well, I was a little upset when he went off to the university, but I knew he would come back to me one day. It's not like he was going to be talking to any other girl.
Victor explored his passion for science by attending the University of Ingolstadt, determined to study natural philosophy and chemistry. However, being disappointed by his teachers, he goes deep into studying alchemy. Submerged into his experiments, he digs out of graves, uses parts of dead animals to create a monster that's so scary that even himself couldn't stand it.
Did you ever think anything was strange about Victor? Did you ever worry about his ambition?
No. He seemed depressed after the death of Caroline, his mother. But that is natural. I should have suspected something when he became so obsessed with studying alchemy. But I never thought he would be attempting something so impossible.
What do you think caused Victor to be so ambitious, for lack of a better word?
Looking back, he was a very privileged child. He got everything. Elizabeth, a nice home, didn't have many responsibilities. Any child's dream. But I feel like this made him feel the need to prove himself, prove that he could make something of himself, prove that he wasn't just the product of wealth and success.
But Victor's life was about to get much more complicated.
What was I supposed to do? What would have happened to my soul? I did confess, but I confessed a lie. I confessed that I might obtain absolution, but now that falsehood lies heavier at my heart than all my other sins. The God of heaven forgive me.
What did you think of Victor?
I love the Frankenstein family. They had always been so kind to me. Victor was one of the brightest young men I ever watched over. Elizabeth is so lucky to have him.
I didn't believe it. I know Justine would never kill William, but what could I do? If I stood up at the trials, everybody will think that I'm insane. And what would I say anyway? Say that the monster I created killed my brother? She only confessed to get salvation. She told me and Elizabeth that she didn't do it. And this is such a horrible feeling. I created a monster that killed William.
Victor felt guilty. He created the creature, and now the creature has killed William and indirectly Justine. But couldn't Victor have helped prove Justine's innocence? He stayed silent, afraid of how others would react if they found out he believed he created life. The beautiful scenery at Chamonix seemed to improve Victor's mood, but his emotions seemed to change with the weather, as one rainy day Victor awoke again with feelings of despair.
I decided to try nature as a way to raise my spirit. The views were incredible. The spirit of nature was helping me so much. Until I saw the sight that would ruin my whole life.
First, let me explain what happened. It was frightening. I was hungry, thirsty, and cold. But slowly, I began to learn more and more about the world. First, I discovered fire. It produced a nice warmth, but would burn me on the hot embers as well. Symbolic of my relationship with the humans.
Where did you live?
Well, luckily I lived in a hut I found. I spent my time in a hut watching another family through a peephole, the Lacey's. I figured out that they were communicated through language, and through listening to them, I learned their language.
The Lacey's. Did you enjoy watching them?
Watching the Lacey's was the most interesting. They used such kind words, and their faces were so radiant.
Not only have you learned language, but you have also learned manners from what it seems.
Oh yes. Like I said earlier, the DeLacy's only use kind words, which are called manners, as you say. I also learned the proper way to greet people.
Bravo. However, as a man, you should only bow.
Thanks for informing me.
So, was all of your learning from watching the DeLacy's?
No, one day, when the family was out, I snuck some books in where I was hiding. I loved reading about the New World.
So, is reading your favorite hobby then?
No. When I was in the forest, I came across a leather satchel filled with books. I was very excited to read something new. However, it turned out to be my master's notes. I learned how he made me. I learned what he did to make me. No wonder why no one likes me.
Oh. Well, isn't one of the DeLacy's blind?
Yes, despite what the note said, I tried to make some friends. So I confronted him first. I decided to talk to him when the others were out on their walk, so it could just be me and him. However, the others came back, and they drove me out of the cottage.
So, they didn't say the kind words you saw earlier?
They used the most unkind words I have ever heard. Some of the new words were thrown in there too, but from guessing by their facial expressions, they weren't nice words.
Where did you go after they drove you out?
I was on a journey to hunt for my master. Then on my way, I met his brother.
William? He's,
Gone.
So, Creature, it sounds like you still might have a problem with Victor.
I do. It's unfair that every other person, not even person, every other thing on this planet gets to have compassion, and I don't. If Victor created me looking like this, then then it's just his responsibility to create a companion for me, a female companion.
Well, Creature, I certainly understand why you're upset. Let's hear the situation.
Lonely? Lonely? I have to walk through the streets and see people run in fear. I get up every morning to my hideous face in the mirror, knowing that no one will ever love it. No ordinary person could. Should no one love me? Should I let even my daddy walk away and still feel my warm heart grow warmer? All I want is a companion, Victor. One who looks like me. Who will understand. I know you have the power to create her.
I don't. I can't. Creature is a failed project. A failed science. I can't create love, especially if I need to go to England to do it. And I haven't forgotten the death of my loved ones, William and Justine, and I just can't do the task the creature asked of me. I could set up a laboratory in a small shack on a desolate island in the Orkneys, and that way I will be able to give more and more time to my project, and this time it will be I'm not sure, and even before I work in it I feel unsatisfied. And one question always comes to my mind. What will happen if I create another creature? What's the effect of it will? I imagine a new creature, and I'm just not sure if she will want to seclude herself, but the creature thinks she will. And then think of it, they will come together, make children, and possibly a whole devil race will rise. All is in my mind now, and it's actually out of my mind now. I'm not going to create the female creature that will have this horrible consequences on the whole humankind.
Man, Jane, I don't know what to do with my face. It's just so ugly. I don't know what to do with it. Do I use makeup? Do I use surgery? Like, you look normal. What do I do?
I have just the solution, my friends. I use this. Just a little bit, and a little bit.
Oh my God.
And in 10 days, you can be normal too.
Oh, thanks, Jane. After 10 easy days, I look normal. I just put normal cream on my face. Just look at me. Hi, Sammy Smith here. Are you lonely? Do you have no friends? Are you too ugly to have a love life? Tired of that bar scene? Well, you could go to createamate.com. At createamate.com, you can find yourself a mate. And guess what? You can create it. Is that amazing or what? Yeah. Yes. And this here's a wickety whack. A wickety whack is great for killing unwanted creatures, accidental creations, and oh my goodness, what kill it? As you can see, the wickety whack works great.
Does the creature deserve love? Will Victor create a female companion? Let's find out.
You're a liar. You're a filthy liar. I'll get you for this, Victor. You haven't seen the last of me, and neither has your loved ones. If you won't allow me to have a companion, I won't allow you to have a companion.
I got a mail from my dearest friend Henry suggesting we will go together on travels, and after my horrible experience I thought it will be a great idea, so I departed on a boat that unfortunately got into a storm, and after a long fight with nature I arrived at some island. I didn't even know what was it, and there. So painful, I can't even speak about it now. The town people accused me of murder. I kept calm until I saw who was murdered. My friend, my dearest friend Henry, lay dead. And on his neck I saw black signs. It was a creature who killed it. I killed my dearest lying friend who always supported me through the hands of the creature. The human frame could no longer endure me, and I had to be carried out of the room in strong convulsions.
As we know, you helped your son. Can you tell us more? What happened?
As soon as I heard about Clerval's death, I got really concerned with Victor. Clerval, this wonderful boy, was Victor's closest friend, and I knew it would shock my son. So I joined my son in Scotland, where Clerval was murdered. Victor traveled to seek happiness, but fatality seemed to pursue him, and poor Clerval.
Did you find anything strange about Victor?
Victor was tried as Clerval's murderer. What nonsense! So it didn't take a long time to prove my son innocent and return together to Geneva.
Today I got a mail from my dearest Elizabeth.
My dear friend, it gave me the greatest pleasure to receive a letter from my uncle dated at Paris. You are no longer at a formidable distance, and I may hope to see you in less than a fortnight. My poor cousin, how much you must have suffered! I expect to see you look even more ill than when you quitted Geneva. Yet I fear that the same feelings now exist that made you so miserable a year ago, even perhaps augmented by time. You well know, Victor, that our union has been the favorite plan of your parents ever since our infancy. We were told this when young, and taught to look forward to it as an event that would certainly take place. We were affectionate playfellows during childhood, and dear, valued friends to one another as we grew older. But a brother and sister often entertain a lively affection towards each other without desiring more intimate union. May not such also be our case? I confess to you, my friend, that I love you, and that in my air dreams of futurity you have been my constant friend and companion. But it is your happiness I desire as well as my own when I declare to you that our marriage would render me eternally miserable unless it were the desiccate of your own free choice. Ah, Victor, be assured that your cousin and playmate has too sincere a love for you to not be made miserable by this supposition. Be happy, my friend, and if you obey me in this one request, remain satisfied that nothing on earth will have the power to interrupt my tranquillity. Do not let this letter disturb you. Do not answer tomorrow or the next day, or even until you come, if it will give you pain. My uncle will send me news of your health, and if I see but one smile on your lips when we meet, occasioned by this or any other exertion of mine, I shall need no other happiness.
Did you notice anything strange about Victor?
He was nervous. I knew he was keeping something secret from me, but what could I do? He promised to explain everything on my wedding day, so I was waiting for this moment.
Finally, the day of the wedding came. Victor was really nervous, trying to find the creature.
Finally, the day of the wedding came, and I couldn't think of anything except meeting my greatest enemy. I just waited for it anxiously. My family is all gone, and I am the reason for it. I am the reason my family is all dead, and the creature is still out there. The only thing I have left is to go track it and try to kill him until something else happens.
Also heard that you saw so-called creatures?
Yes, that's true. On one of the days before finding Victor, we saw an unusual man on a dog sled. We were surprised, but strange things happen.
Women abortion to be spurned at and kicked and tramped on. Now, killing my creator, when the act of revenge had happened, seems to be the end of the story. I regret greatly my life deeds. I had never wanted to become a monster, become evil. He was my only relative, my father. And even though he wasn't kind to me, he was my connection to the real world. Now I'm left for myself. The only thing I have left is to leave now into the ice and calmly die.
The story started in the desolate land of ice, and it also finished there.